after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy 40 podcast.
And there has been a lot going on outside of the Super Bowl as well, and it's largely been based around the quarterbacks. I know you've seen the trade at this point in time. What was your take on Stafford finally getting out of Detroit Rock City, heading to Sean McVay's friendly offense in exchange for Jared Goff, a third this year, and 2 future first-round picks? Les Snead hates first-round picks. That's no value.
Yeah, I mean, the initial reaction is that the Rams overpaid, but then you think about it for another second and go, ah, shit, the Detroit needed the pot sweetened to eat that dog shit contract that Goff has. So at least one of those first was directly for the money. You know what I mean? So I think I talked about this with some guys I was working with the other day. We're going to know real quick if Stafford was the problem in Detroit or if Detroit was the problem in Detroit. So I like the upside. I mean, I've been a Stafford fan for a long time. I hope he can do it in LA. Josh Reynolds is likely gone. Get my boy Van Jefferson on the field a little bit. They spent the money the picks. They spent the capital to get him in there. So I anticipate them really trying to open up this offense, and I think Van Jefferson might be fantasy relevant as a wide receiver 3 if they are going super pass heavy, even though Akers did kind of emerge in these fantasy playoffs towards the end of the season. But I like it for both of them, actually. I think from everything I've read, Detroit really legitimately likes Jared Goff. So
yeah. Yeah, he had a market. This wasn't, they had to fork up some picks because of the contract. But yeah, from what I heard, the Lions weren't the only team inquiring about Jared Goff. Now,
yeah, and
want to believe that or not? I mean, what are I going to say? You know what I mean? Like, no, we wanted to dump him. He's a bum. We used a first-round pick on him in 2016 and paid him way too much money. No, I mean, you got to have some sort of narrative to support yourself. But at the end of the day, he's got to start and gig again, at least for 1 year. I think he's very cuttable.
I think they said 2 years. I think
2.
I think 2 years before they can get out of it.
Okay, well, he
thought that's what I read.
Maybe on the move again, but it does accelerate things a little bit in Detroit. He's at least a competent quarterback. It is a dome stadium, so you only have to worry about the outdoor games against Green Bay and Chicago, as he does not fare well in cold weather. Even the Vikings are an indoor stadium, so he landed in a good spot to kind of keep him afloat. Matthew Stafford, yeah, we love Matthew Stafford here. That dude is going to elevate McVay's offense to levels unknown. I mean, the dude has an arm for days. He can make every throw. He's literally every textbook cliche you say about a quarterback. Yeah. He's a gunslinger. He's fearless. He's like, he'll run. You know what I mean? Like he's by all means necessary type quarterback. And yeah, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Cam Akers is going to feast. He's going to get 50 catches next year from Matt Stafford. Even Tyler Higbee, because Everett's going to be gone. Stafford does like that tight end as well. I've traded for Robert Woods in a number of spots, not even in advance of this. I just feel like he was – and I'm not even a big Robert Woods fan. I just truly am not. I think he's a good player. It's a lot of schemed work, but I picked him up in 3 different spots this offseason, and it went from I like these trades to I fucking love these trades because he's now a guarantee 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns. I mean, luck.
Stafford has shown the ability to prop up at least 2 wide receivers for fantasy. So I can't disagree with you.
Yeah, so got super excited about that. Even, Goff will keep DeAndre Swift from going through a full rebuild as well, because I think that was a concern. If they bring in a rookie and you're struggling for a year or two, you're kind of wasting DeAndre Swift's prime. So at least Goff will kind of keep that train moving. I don't know who their receivers are going to be, because Galladay's a restricted free agent.
No, I think he's unrestricted.
Isn't unrestricted? I mean, they'd probably be wise to use the franchise on him so they have something of significance to throw to outside of TJ Hawkinson. But Marvin Jones is going to be gone. Maybe my boy Quintez Cephas gets a little burn. Keep him stashed on the bottom of your dynasty rosters. But, yeah, it's brighter days for a LA Rams team that made it to the divisional round of the playoffs this year.
And I like it for Detroit, too. Like you said, Goff gets beat up, rightfully so. He's not that great. But for fantasy, like he's a fine QB2 if you're in Superflex. He's a capable backup on your bench. If you had, let's say, Stafford and Goff, and it's Stafford's bye week, you could plug Goff in, and you're not wringing your hands going, "Oh, I'm in trouble in this matchup," like you do with quite a few number 2 quarterbacks. So that's fine, and I think it's good for Detroit. You had mentioned, figure out what the fuck they're going to do at wide receiver. But I think it's good for Swift. I think they're gonna go a little more run heavy than we've seen, especially with goofy ass Dan Campbell, right? Campbell. Yeah, all his old school biting fucking kneecaps and shit. I think this is a very good move for Swift. I think they're going to go a little bit more run heavy than we've seen in the past there with Stafford and previous coaching staff. So I think it's good for Swift. Again, the wide receiver room has to be settled before we know what it means for the passing game. But I like what it means for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, we have to talk about Jared Goff. It seems like he never gets talked about. Like Carson Wentz getting drugged through the mud in Philadelphia right now. Picks 1 and 2 in the same draft class. Both signed mega deals around the same time. I know Goff has the record to support him, 42 and 27 in his career as a starter, but his last 4 seasons when he took over full time, at least 15 games played, 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. 32 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 22 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, 20 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. This dude has regressed in a Sean McVay forward-thinking offense. The last 4 years, they have made the playoffs in spite of him, but the team also went from 13-3 to 9-7 to 9-6 because they didn't get that last win until after he didn't play, and John Wofford got him into the playoffs at 10-6. But I don't know. He's fine. He's a placeholder in the quarterback position. He's a QB2. Those guys are a dime a dozen anymore. So yeah, if you have him, you're like, well, at least he got traded somewhere else where he's the starter for at least the next year or two. But I think that's going to be about it. I don't see Detroit extending Jared Goff. I still don't see them drafting a quarterback potentially.
No. They're going to use one of those firsts they got from the Rams. That's what's going to happen.
Well, unfortunately, it's the Rams 22 and 23 first because the Rams didn't have a 2021 first because of Jalen Ramsey. So it's what that team looks like a year or two from now, of which Matthew Stafford's still going to be there with that top 5 defense. We could be talking about a pick in the late 20s, early 30s in those 2 seasons for Detroit. And then it doesn't look nearly as nice for them, and it makes a little more sense for the Rams to make those moves. But that's if everything else holds true. So that was the one side. And the other side, I touched lightly on it with Carson Wentz, and based out of Philly here and having a true affinity for Mr. Wentz himself, he has went into a rabbit hole since the season has ended with nary a comment or a video or a tweet or anything regarding, the subsequent benching, then the firing of Doug Peterson, the hiring of Nick Sirianni. Adam Schefter has just came out and said flat out, Wentz wants out. And that's what him saying nothing indicates. He didn't come out and say, thank God Peterson's gone. He didn't come in and say, thank God Nick Sirianni's here. He said nothing. And it's because he wants nothing to do with this organization anymore. I can't blame him. I didn't agree with the benching at all, as if he was the only problem with this total clusterfuck of a team. Jalen Hurts played literally one good game and then ran around like a chicken with his head cut off for the remainder of the season. So much to do about nothing there. 1, is Carson Wentz an Eagle next year? 2, if he is he the starter? 3, if he's not, where is he?
I don't have an answer to number 3. I don't think he is their starter. There's going to be so much movement this year. I mean, the Bills are set. Dolphins are set. Patriots need a quarterback. Jets don't seem sold on Darnold. New staff coming in. Who knows what they're going to do? Chiefs are set. Raiders probably keep Carr for another year, but they talked up Mariota. Chargers are obviously set. Broncos, they're not committed to lock. Their name has been thrown in with all these guys moving around. Steelers set. If Ben wants to come back, he better restructure his contract. So there's a chance there's a change in Pittsburgh too. Browns are set. Bengals are set. Titans are set. Colts, Rivers just retired. They got to figure out something. I don't know if Eason's the answer there. Texans, Watson is still committed to getting the fuck out of there. Jags currently not set, but will be set following the draft. The Washington football team, what are they going to do? They got a lot of moving pieces there at quarterback. Giants are probably set for another year. Cowboys, there's a chance they don't. I think Dak's franchise tag is $37.7 million. Do they franchise him? I don't know if they're ready to commit the $40 million a year just yet. They haven't done it so far. What would change now? So there's a little mystery there. We just mentioned your Eagles. Seahawks are set. Rams are set now. Cardinals are set. Niners, Jimmy G could be on the way out. That's another one that's been talked about quite a bit. Packers, despite the Packers repeatedly saying Aaron Rodgers is going nowhere, I don't. Aaron Rodgers seems pissed. We talked about it when they drafted Jordan Love. So it's the least likely of all of them, but I'm not 100% convinced he's not moving. Bears are obviously moving on. Vikings are probably stuck with Cousins for another year. Lions just solidified their thing. Saints, we haven't heard anything from Breeze yet, but all indications he's moving on. They need a quarterback. Buccaneers, if Brady wins, he could retire. I know he just came out the other day and said he still wants to play to 45. So what's that, another 2 years, I believe?
He said if he's playing this well, would he play to 45? And he said, yeah.
So, but there is, again, 5% chance that he wins and says, fuck this, I'm getting out of here. Panthers, they were rumored to be in the Stafford hunt. They don't seem to love Teddy Bridgewater, which, as someone who traded for him a year ago, this is not good for me in several spots. I thought he'd get at least a 2 or 3 year run there. And then Falcons, at some point, they got to start preparing for the end of Matt Ryan's tenure, but I don't think it's this year. So, dude, we got a lot of moving pieces at quarterback. I don't ever remember this in my lifetime, and I've been dedicatedly watching football since about 1984. So I don't remember ever being like, there's going to be a lot of moving pieces. The good thing is, for a guy like Wentz, especially for people that are a fan of him like yourself, he's going to have landing spots. I mean, Wentz mentioned the Colts and him going back and being reunited with Frank Reich. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's very well broken down. And clearly we know that the secession plan in Pittsburgh is now what's his name?
Is it? I mean, he cost nothing. Fucking.
Why am I drawing a blank?
Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, Simba. Yeah, Dwayne Haskins. I mean, it's the future. He's humble now. He's the future of the franchise.
I think they brought him in to scare Ben. They're like, look, we're ready if you're not ready to restructure. And he's like, this fucking bum, get out of here.
You saw what Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges did during Big Ben's time out there, and he said, yeah, even that malcontent that's taking pictures on the sideline instead of kneeling to win a game 2 seasons ago is better than this. So my thought is it'll take too much to trade Wentz. So he will be a starter begrudgingly in Philly this year. And hopefully, fences get mended during that point in time, because I want him to remain the starter. So maybe I'm willing that into existence. Jalen Hurts to me isn't the answer either way. He has a mentality, probably one of the best mentalities I've seen on a human being, that's motivated, self-motivated to be the best player he can be. I just don't think that makes him a good NFL quarterback. At the end of the day, he's not a good passer. He fumbles the ball, and he's a good runner. Okay, now next, trade him now. Go if you get a second round for him now. Call the Patriots up right now and say you're second for Jalen Hurts. Let's move on from this. Double down on Carson Wentz and call it a day. I do think if he ends up anywhere outside of Philadelphia, it's clearly the Indianapolis Colts, because Frank Reich plus the money to make the deal happen, you get it done. But that is where it begins and ends. The one you mentioned, the purgatory, is the Washington football team. They playoff team, right? So they're in the 20s. I don't know exactly what pick they're at. I can find it in 1 second to get there. But all the known commodities and probably mostly even the upside guys are going to be gone at that point. Maybe a Mac Jones is sitting there when they pick.
Well, to kind of tie this all back together,
19?
The one name I had heard rumored there potentially was a Cam Newton-Ron Rivera reunion when Cam has shown the door in New England, rightfully so. And then to bring it full circle to where this all started with the free agency and quarterback talk. Did you see the one place Matt Stafford said he was not willing to be traded?
Was it Washington?
Oh, Patriots. So he must hate Patricia.
Yeah, because I forgot he landed back there, under Bill Belichick's.
I'll go anywhere except New England.
Good.
So he must fucking hate Patricia's guts.
Good. Yeah, I mean, look at it. Teams 19 and 20 in this draft, Washington football team and Chicago Bears. They both made the playoffs. Neither of them have a long-term answer at quarterback. And neither of them, I mean, 100% Trevor Lawrence is gone. 100% Mac Wilson is gone. 100% Justin Fields is gone. More than likely, Trey Lance is gone. So now we're talking Mac Jones and Kyle Trask probably as the next two names. You ain't taking those dudes at 19 and 20. You're just not. I mean, you're trading back.
Years past though, where these guys start, the squeeze happens, and you go, fuck. If we need a quarterback, we need to make a move for one of these guys. Whether it's hope they fall to you and pull the trigger earlier than you want, or even trade up to get a lesser tier guy because you feel like you need to do it. I mean, we've seen it repeatedly.
Yeah, well, listen, they're going to need to move because the answer isn't where they're currently picking, and I'm just trying to scroll up and see who's going to move for them. Like, listen, my Eagles, I'll gladly get out of 6 if you push it. But do you want to trade Washington? Probably not. But to go down to 19, you're going to have to give me your 2022 first as well to make that jump.
I mean, look, we talked about, not on this podcast, just texting and messaging back and forth. This is when we start dipping into rookies next week. We are both grossly unprepared, but the little bit I've looked into it, I'm not blown away. Like my draft picks after halfway through the second round rookie draft here, pick 18. Anything after 18, I am not interested. Usually there's a ton of gems, and I'm like, give me all the 5th and 6th round rookie picks you can give me. I like all my dart throws. I haven't dug into it yet. I'm sure there's going to be guys I fall in love with, but early indicators, this is super top heavy, and even in Superflex, I'm looking forward to this rookie draft season less than I've looked forward to it in a long time.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And the unfortunateness of this draft class is that it's pretty solid at quarterback. Like I just ran a list of names. There's probably going to be 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round of this draft. But if you're in single QB, it probably ends. I mean, you're not taking any of them in the first round. You shouldn't, because where's the value? But now we're pushing guys like Trey Lance to probably like late second, early third round picks, and you're like, yeah, sure, dude's athletic enough. I'll take the risk. It's good. It's really good at tight end, but again, tight ends take for fucking ever, and unless it's a tight end premium league, why do you care?
Listen, the lesson I've learned that I learned in 2017 when I moved up and got tons of Njoku and tons of OJ Howard is, I don't give a fuck how dynamic you are. I'm not moving up, and I'm never drafting tight ends early. I'll trade for one that's already in the league and establishes himself.
Yeah,
I'm
Kyle Pitts,
wasting picks on tight end.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts is an exception. I mean, that dude is tight end by designation only. That dude is like every ounce a wide receiver. He'd be a top probably 3 definitely be a top 3 wide receiver in this class. So to get him a tight end, even in a single tight end league, there's value to be had there. But I'm with you outside of that. Pat Fryermuth, Brevin Jordan, those type of guys. You're right. I'm not waiting the 3 years it's going to take to develop like a Mike Gesicki hit. And yeah, that's just poaching Penn State tight ends like Fryermuth is. But running back, super light. Like if you don't have a beginning of the first round pick, you're hoping for a landing spot. I mean, that's literally what it's going to come down to. And I don't know, receiver's good. Receiver's good. You're going to get through the middle of the second round with still quality receivers. But with the way the league's going, with 3 and 4 wide receiver sets, it's just watering down that position all over again. So I'm with you. I traded out of a lot of first and second round picks in this upcoming draft, and I was always like, I'll get back in if I want to. I've made no attempts to get back in.
I don't know how many guys you've talked to in other leagues you play, but you'd mentioned how thin running back gets, and I think it's going to get thinner from just talking to guys I have played in leagues with for years. It sounds like everyone's plan is to just take running backs this year, which is good because the wide receiver value is going to fall like it tends to. But I wouldn't be shocked unless someone really, I don't know what's going on with the combine, but anybody blows out numbers on their pro day or whatever kind of makeshift half-ass combine they put together. Unless somebody really goes crazy, I think we're going to see all the wide receivers fall. And I think the top, what are there, like 8 running backs? I wouldn't be shocked to see 8 of the top 10 rookie picks all being running backs this year.
Yeah, I mean, with Jamar Chase being just a god, he's definitely going. Devonta Smith coming off the Heisman, he's definitely going. Jalen Waddle 100% deserves to go. Kyle Pitts is going to get drafted in the first round of every rookie draft, even if it's not tight end premium. But you're right. I mean, it could be 6 running backs and those 4 guys at the end of the day.
If you're picking 201 and you need a running back, there's a chance you're not going to get any of the top guys.
Yeah, you tell me if I'm pushing 6 deep, I don't know who running back 7 is right now. I don't even know I know who running back 6 is, to be totally honest. If I just started just names off the top of my head, I don't think I'm getting to 7 and 8 with any type of confidence. I mean, you know your Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, your Devonta Williams, and then where are we going? Chuba Hubbard, and then we're going to Kenny Gainwell. That's 5.
I don't even know.
I'm like, who's 6? Not jumping off the page for me. There'll be some guys, at the end of the day to bubble up that we like, the Antonio Gibsons of the world and the Aaron Joneses of the world, but how are we going to uncover those guys, John? There's no combine. We're going to have to we're going to work a little harder, do our due diligence, even though I was on Aaron Jones and Antonio Gibson before the combine. Thank you very much, you motherfuckers, because I'm good at this stuff. And I'm going to get there again. We're going to find him, John, and we're going to love him, and he's going to be right. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, there's the bulk of the first round of the draft is going to be running back. So hopefully there's a James Robinson or the like that bubbles up out of nowhere, because that's where you're going to have to hang your hat if you don't have an early pick.
Now, so for myself, John Dabari, for my co-host, Mr. Matt Walker, we are the Fantasy 40, and we are out of here. Ow!